Yo, it's your boy WesTheTech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist growing your craft. Now, today we're going to go over how Universal Music Group have possibly destroyed TikTok moving forward, all right? So if you're a recording artist who's looking to learn more about the dispute between Universal Music Group and TikTok, then this is the perfect video for you, because in this video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know about this dispute, as well as how it may possibly affect you as an independent artist moving forward. All right, now before I continue, I definitely want to let you guys know about my free music business checklist that's available on my website to download right now. All right, with this free tool, you will be able to identify 3 things that you can do right away to start your own music business. So this is for those of you who's looking into starting your own music business and don't know where to start. You can absolutely grab that by clicking the link above. I'll also leave that link in the descriptions below, all right? Also, for those of you who want a more one-on-one approach and want to be able to contact me more directly in regards to your music business tips and things like that, you can absolutely join my membership club here right on YouTube. With this membership club, you'll actually be able to dive into perks such as priority replies to comments, exclusive walkthrough videos, as well as free one-on-one music business coaching sessions, all right? So if you want more information on that, go ahead and click the join button on the bottom of this video, all right? I'll also leave the link for that above as well, so you can check that out and see what the different perks offer, all right? Now, to get into this whole dispute, guys, all right, to really dive into it, I feel like the best thing I have to do first is to actually let you guys really understand how big UMG is. UMG stands for Universal Music Group, all right? You guys have to understand that there are only 3 major record labels in the entire world, all right? I'm not saying in the US, I'm literally saying the entire world, all right? And Universal Music Group is one of them. As a matter of fact, it is the biggest one out of the 3. If you want to know what the 3 are Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group. All right, these are the 3 biggest major record labels in the entire world. Everything outside of these 3 groups, or these 3 groups right here, are classified as independent. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other record labels that are under these 3 groups, but these are the 3 big cojones, all right? Now, to put more into perspective how big Universal is compared to the other 2, you have to understand that Universal actually controls 31.9% of the global market share for music, all right? Sony only covers 22.1%, and Warner Bros. Only covers 16%, meaning that Universal Music Group almost has 10% more than Sony and almost double Warner Bros. All right, so that's just to put in perspective how big Universal Music Group is. All right, now Universal Music Group is having a dispute right now that is very dangerous for TikTok, because with this dispute, it seems like they haven't been able to come to an agreement. Now, you guys may not know this, but major record labels do partnerships with these social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, so on and so forth. Now, these partnerships are contractual, which means that it's under a contract and there is an ending period of these contracts. Universal and TikTok has had a contract that has ended literally yesterday, January 31st, 2024. Now, the issue is they haven't been able to come to an agreement for a new contract, which means that Universal is no longer going to be partnering with TikTok, all right? Which also means that any artist that is under Universal Music Group also won't be a part of TikTok anymore, all right? Now, I'm going to dive into more details in regards to why that's significant, but I'm going to first talk about the things as to which caused Universal and TikTok not to actually agree to new terms. All right. So Universal actually released an open letter to the community, to us artists and songwriters, to really explain what the issue was between them and TikTok as far as making this new agreement. And the issue basically boiled down to three major factors. All right. These three major factors are appropriate compensation for our artists and songwriters, protecting human artists from the harmful effects of AI, and online safety for TikTok users. All right. So to dive in the first one, all right, the first one is proper compensation. Now, I find this one very, very interesting because we all know that TikTok has really been promoting everything when it comes to music. I mean, I think 90% of the TikTok videos on TikTok have music incorporated with them. But it shows that for some reason, TikTok, according to Universal is saying that TikTok doesn't actually want to pay out the same amounts that other social media platforms pay for their streams, right? They actually only want to pay a fraction of it, which I actually believe because TikTok has one of the lowest payouts when it comes to music streams as it is, all right? And quoted by Universal themselves, they literally said, ultimately, TikTok is trying to build a music-based business without paying fair value for the music, all right? They're essentially saying that TikTok just doesn't want to pay out. Now, one could make an argument to that as well. The reason TikTok doesn't want to pay out as much is because artists do really, really well on TikTok. TikTok has a different type of algorithm. TikTok definitely promotes you. You know, if you're an independent artist and if you're any type of artist and you're not on TikTok, you're doing yourself a disservice because TikTok really, really promotes artists, right? It gets a lot of exposure for a lot of different artists. A lot of different artists have blown up simply because of TikTok, right? So maybe that's one of the factors as to why TikTok doesn't want to pay out as much, because they know that artists already gain so much exposure using their platform that maybe we don't have to pay as much, right? Maybe that's what TikTok's thinking. I don't know per se. I'm just thinking if this is true, maybe that's the reason why, all right? Now, the other thing when it comes down to Universal, they mentioned the AI. Now, this is a major, major, major deal because right now, people are able to actually make songs using other artists' voices through AI, all right? Now, the reason that this is harmful for those artists is because the other people who are using their voices essentially through AI are being able to get compensated for that. They're actually being able to get paid for that. So I could literally make a Drake song, so to speak, and then make it sound just like Drake and actually get paid off of it through a lot of different places, including TikTok as we speak, all right? So Universal felt that this is one of those things that had to be addressed. There needed to be something that needed to be put in place to protect artists and songwriters from AI. This is a real thing. I absolutely agree with this. I'm happy that Universal is taking a stance on this because I absolutely agree with this. AI could effectively destroy the music industry. All right, it's actually AI is getting into everything. It's in the process. There's issues in film and acting when it comes to AI as well. You know what I'm saying? AI has seeped into everything, and it is causing a lot of issues when it comes to ownership of people's sound and things like that, because AI can really mimic a lot of things, all right? Especially people's voices, and you could understand how dangerous that can be, all right? Now, the third thing was the online safety for the TikTok users. Now, this one was a little interesting to me because I didn't really quite understand what they meant by that or what the issue is. But once I actually read the statement and I see what they were trying to say, they were essentially saying, and I quote, TikTok makes little effort to deal with vast amount of content on its platform that infringe our artists' music, and it has offered no meaningful solution. So essentially what they're saying is that there's a lot of stuff on TikTok that they're allowing, you know, bullying, harmful speech, hate speech, all of these different things that other platforms kind of shun, right? That you could report as a problem or report as an issue and get them removed and things like that. It seems like TikTok isn't doing their effort to do the same thing when it comes to those things, all right? So that is, you know, the three things that Universal is really getting at as far as TikTok not really doing anything about, right? The compensation, the AI issues, and the online safety. Now, from this point, I was like, okay, I understand where Universal is definitely coming from, but I was also surprised that TikTok didn't want to do anything about these things, right? So essentially, Universal said quite clear right in their message, and I quote again, they literally said, we will always fight for our artists and songwriters and stand up for the creative and commercial value of the music. So they're literally letting you know that they're not standing for it and they're pulling out. They're straight up pulling out of TikTok. And they even mentioned how TikTok was bullying them. I'm like, okay, come on, Universal. You're the biggest, you're literally the biggest, based off a percentage, the biggest record label in the whole world. How is TikTok actually bullying you? Then I read further and it literally said that TikTok has attempted to bully us by accepting a deal with worth less than the previous deal, far less than fair market value and not reflective of their exponential growth. They also went to mention how TikTok was actually trying to blackmail them, saying that, yeah, we'll keep your big artists on our platform because they make us money, but all your little artists, we're not going to promote them at all. And this is how Universal felt like, okay, you guys are trying to take advantage of us now. So you know what? We're out of this. We're not going to deal with you guys at all. Deuces to you. Now, this ultimately is major. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering, okay, what was TikTok's response? What did TikTok say in response to this? Well, to be quite frank with you, they said very, very little, all right? If you want to know exactly what they said, here's the link above, but I'll also show it to you because it's really that small. Universal had a whole page, a very long letter to us for us to understand everything. I feel like TikTok should have really do due diligence and actually explain thoroughly. But essentially, they said that Universal, they pretty much said it is sad and disappointing that Universal Music Group has put their own greed above the interests of their artists and songwriters. They then said that this was false rhetoric and not true. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't really defend themselves the way that I expected them to defend themselves, which leads me to believe that these issues were real, which leads me to believe that TikTok wasn't really trying to address the issues that Universal has, all right? So clearly it's a big dispute. Clearly they didn't agree to it. Clearly there's a new contract that's set in place as of today, which is February 1st. So where does that leave us as independent artists? Where does that leave the music game, the music industry, and all of those things? Well, again, going back to the actual artist roster of Universal, you have to understand that not only are they the biggest, but they also control some of the biggest artists in the world, all right? Now, there's way too many artists to actually list and tell you all the artists, but I'm just gonna show you a screenshot here of some of their biggest artists. As you can see here, according to this image, Taylor Swift is under Universal. I don't think I need to explain any further how big she is, all right? Universal literally has two of the biggest hip-hop artists to date, which is Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Nobody sells more than Drake as far as music goes in hip-hop. He's on this list. You also see Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is probably the biggest Spanish star out there right now. As you could also see, you see Alicia Keys is here. You also see Billie Eilish. I mean, these are all major names, and these are just some of the biggest ones, all right? They have tons and tons of artists that are just way too much to mention, like U2, Elton John, Lil Wayne's music before 2022, I believe. There's just so many artists that they deal with. The Weeknd, all right? I believe his picture is there as well. There's just so many artists that Universal control. Now, if they're removing all of their music off of TikTok, how fun will TikTok be moving forward? I mean, think about it. Really, really think about it for a second. If Drake drops a brand new song and that song is fire and that song is hot and there's the new trend on social media that's going on, people are making a certain video to it, guess what? You can't do it on TikTok anymore. Sure, you could do it on IG and Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts, but you won't be able to do it on TikTok anymore because the music won't show up. And if you try to use the music, UMG is going to take it down, all right? So that means that a lot of people aren't going to be excited about posting on TikTok as much anymore as they would do other platforms. All right, it literally makes TikTok weaker because a lot of people like to follow other people, and if something is trending, if a Drake song is trending, I don't know if you guys remember Hotline Bling, but when that was trending, it took over the internet, right? So in this case, if he were to make another Hotline Bling, it would take over the internet minus TikTok, which means that everyone's going to be posting more on IG and the other places than TikTok because they simply just can't use the music. All right. So how does that actually affect us as independent artists? Well, I believe that affects us negatively because that means less people will be using TikTok regularly. And if less people are using TikTok regularly because they can't make videos with their favorite artists, which are the biggest artists of the freaking world, then guess what? That means it's harder for them to see our music too because they're not on it as much. They're not using TikTok as much. They're not engaging with TikTok as much anymore, which means that us as independent artists won't be able to put our music in front of them as much anymore because they won't be using it anymore. Now, I don't know if this is guaranteed. I don't know if this absolutely will happen, but it's almost a logical thought process behind it, right? Because let's be honest, these, like I said, are the biggest artists in the world, all right? I mean, from Taylor Swift to Drake, it's just the artists, and there's so much more that I didn't even mention, right? But these artists will continue to make music. They will continue to release music. These songs will continue to create more and more trends on social media. It's just TikTok won't be a part of it. And I think one of TikTok's biggest success right now is because they usually trend all the new music. They usually have people doing new challenges, new dances, and all of these new things when it comes to new music. But what if we live in a world that TikTok is unable to do that? I believe that it's going to severely, severely harm TikTok moving forward. All right. Now, another thing may happen is maybe Sony and Warner may decide to cut ties with TikTok as well. I mean, Universal did it. This is a follow the leader type of world, right? Every industry is follow the leader. If the big dogs did it, we gonna do it too, right? So now if Sony removes it and Warner removes it, then guess what? None of the major record labels are on TikTok anymore, which means that those people who are listening to those type of music, all right, they will want to make videos with those songs, they won't be able to do it anymore. This creates a very major issue for TikTok. All right, now some of you guys may be thinking, okay, well, if I'm an independent artist and all the major record labels remove their artists from TikTok, that means TikTok is going to be filled with independent artists, and all the independent artists will actually be able to promote even more because they don't have to compete with the record label artists. Well, I would agree with you. The only reason why I won't agree with you is because that's exactly what MySpace tried to do. Now, some of you guys may not remember MySpace, all right? It's been a long time since MySpace was relevant, all right? There's people who are being born into this world who have no idea what MySpace is. But there was a point in time in history that MySpace was bigger than Facebook. MySpace was here before Facebook. Once Facebook came out, MySpace took a major, major hit. Now, MySpace's way to counteract that was by focusing more on artists, all right? They kind of changed it into a social media platform specifically for artists, and the primary artists that were on MySpace were independent artists. MySpace is no longer relevant today, right? That's because, again, the big artists wasn't on there, all right? That's how I feel the same thing will happen to TikTok. Sure, it will have like a cult following for anyone who just want independent music, but if the major record label artists aren't involved in that too, it's a major, major blow to TikTok moving forward, because I literally witnessed it with MySpace with my own eyes. And everybody had a MySpace before Facebook dropped, just like how everybody primarily has a Facebook now, all right? But again, this is just me looking at history. This is me just making logical sound conclusions of what may happen. I don't know if all of this may happen. I don't even know if TikTok and Universal may actually come to an agreement. All right. All I know is as of right now, they have no agreement. As of right now, Universal has threatened to remove all of their artists on TikTok, and I believe they ain't playing. I believe they actually will do this if they can't come to an agreement. All right. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I want to hear you guys put your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know what you think about it. Give me a perspective that maybe I didn't think of yet. And if there's more information on it that you know about, go ahead and put it in the comment section below as well. But I believe that this is a major deal. I don't typically make videos like this unless I feel like it's a major deal. And I feel like this can really just change the entire music industry moving forward. Because again, TikTok is the biggest platform for artists right now. And Universal Music Group is the biggest record label for artists right now. So if they can't get along, we're going to have chaos, period. All right. But either way, that's pretty much it. That's actually what's going on between Universal and TikTok right now. Only the future will tell what will happen. If you guys have any additional questions or concerns in regards to that or anything else, music industry wise, please feel free to leave comments in the comment section below. Also, for those of you who's looking into leaving your 9-to-5 job so that you could do music full-time like myself, I strongly urge you to grab my ebook here, the 13 steps to jumpstart your music business, because with this ebook, it'll show you 13 steps that you could do to put yourself in a position to leave that 9-to-5 job so that you could do music full-time like myself. I've been doing music full-time for years now, and I want the same thing for you guys, all right? So if you want to get on the road to do that, definitely grab that ebook here, and that's pretty much it, all right, guys? So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this helped and brought you awareness and made sense to you, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I feel like Moses, big Moses. Yeah, can't nobody hold me. Yeah, can't nobody. Yeah, I'm feeling like Daniel, big daddy. Yeah, can't nobody face me. Yeah, I feel like Joseph, big Joseph. Yeah, can't nobody.